What if a smart lock didn't even look like a smart lock? It could fit all the radios and batteries and smarts into the same size as a traditional non-smart lock. As smart locks from most brands, though, add all kinds of extra features, it starts to really look like just a computer strapped to your front door. For years, though, Level has been pursuing the opposite. They first fit all the smarts for a smart lock into a bolt that just goes inside your existing lock. Then they started making models that included the whole deadbolt as well, but looked like any other non-smart model. But I was never all that impressed with these options. I tried a Level bolt and found it to be weaker than other smart locks at locking my door and slow to connect to my smart home over Bluetooth. But that was years ago, and Level has continued to iterate on their tech. A couple months ago, Level sent me their new Level Lock Pro ahead of the release date as part of sponsoring another video on my channel. But in this non-sponsored video, I wanted to also go more in depth about this cool new smart lock. Has Level finally pulled off something that gets out of the way, but also gives you all the smart features that you want? This lock supports Matter over Thread, Apple HomeKey, and it can even tell if your door is open. Installation isn't necessarily hard, but there are more details of this setup than the average smart lock. I found myself needing to double check how I attach some of the screws, putting it on my door, which I should note, my tired old front door you see in this video will soon be replaced by a brand new one. So subscribe if you don't want to miss more smart lock reviews on my much better looking front door. During installation, you'll also need the Level app to calibrate the lock for your front door. This is something pretty much all smart locks do so that they understand how far to turn the motors to lock or unlock your door. Then you can add it to your smart home platform of choice. Speaking of that, you can only add this as the lock. Determining if your door is open or not is just in the Level app. I was hoping it would expose that to Matter and Apple Home as a door contact sensor, but I'm guessing that would be too big of a hit to the battery life. We'll talk more about where Level hides the batteries in this thing in a minute, but you'll want to keep the Level app on your phone for notifications. This is how Level tells you that your door has been left open for a period of time. I actually find these alerts very helpful. There's some more details to keep in mind with this during installation though. But while you're installing this lock, if you want the door open notifications, you need to be sure that you're using Level's strike plate because Levels has some special magnets. You can't use an existing strike plate, and if you need an extra tall one, well, that's a special order from Level. Like their other locks, Level puts the battery inside of the bolt. In order to fit a CR2 lithium battery in the bolt, it's a little bit larger than the standard size. So you might need to drill a hole in your door frame to fit this bolt. Not hard to do. Just ensure you have the necessary drill bit on hand to put a 3/4 inch hole in your door frame. By default, the Level lock connects to your smart home using the Matter standard, as I mentioned earlier, with the built-in Thread radios. This means you need a Thread border router from your smart home platform of choice on the other end of the connection. For Apple, this is usually a HomePod or HomePod Mini or a high-end Apple TV. When your phone, though, is managing the settings for this lock, it seems like it's connecting over Bluetooth. This means you need to be not just at home, but physically near the lock in order to do really anything with it. If you want to control the lock from the Level app further away or away from home, or you need the lock to connect to your smart home over Wi-Fi instead of Thread, you'll need an additional Level Connect Wi-Fi bridge for an additional $79. Level sent me one and I needed to install it in order to demo the Level app features down here in my basement studio. So what about actually using this lock as, like a lock? Well, turning the deadbolt from inside is regulated by magnets that give it this really premium feel, like there's some kind of spring inside. And the outside of the deadbolt has a nice optional feature you'll probably want to turn on for touch to lock. This means you can tap the bottom part of the deadbolt to lock it as you leave home. This is another place where the Level Lock Pro's smarts about knowing if the door is shut comes in very helpful. Because if you try and lock it with touch to lock, it will actually beep at you if the door is not shut. For unlocking, you've got lots of options, but one that's unique is the 2 included NFC key fobs, which you can pair in the Level app. It uses the NFC reader in your iPhone to read the key fob and pair it with your lock. You can also purchase additional key fobs or similar key cards for $20 for a pack of 4. There are also 2 physical keys included in the box, which are pretty standard and I don't think need an explanation. But you might have noticed there's one big feature this smart lock is missing compared to others. Yes, you could give your family, friends, or trusted people a key or a key fob, but you have to physically give that to them. You could also just give them a PIN code and have them type that into the keypad when they get to your door. But Level has that with a separate keypad, sold separately for an additional $79. Now Level also sent me one of these. It pairs with the lock over Bluetooth and setting up in the app was super easy. One of my complaints about a lot of capacitive touch keypads like this is that you have to hit one of the numbers or something on the pad to wake it up before it starts reading what you press for your code. This means many first-time users are confused because the first digit they enter isn't actually recorded by the lock, which means their PIN will be incorrect. Level doesn't have this problem though. The keypad illuminates right away for me and registers my first button press. You just need to remember to hit the check mark when you're done to get it to unlock the door. You can also use that check mark to lock the door if you want. Unfortunately, this keypad and PIN codes is not part of Apple HomeKey. This means you need to manage those PIN codes inside of the Level app. So if you're trying to share PIN codes across multiple smart locks in your home from different brands, then you'll have to manually update this lock instead of managing all the PIN codes in a central place like Apple Home. But another side of the Apple Home integration that works really well is Apple HomeKey Tap to Unlock. Most modern iPhones and Apple Watches support this feature when you're added to an Apple Home. You simply need to add the pass to your Apple Wallet and turn on express mode for it to work when you just tap on the bolt. This felt like magic the first time I tried it years ago, and now it kind of feels more like table stakes for a new smart lock in most scenarios. That gets me to the bigger picture of things, which the Level Lock Pro is really an exceptional deadbolt that manages to cram modern features into a minimal design that doesn't look like a computer on your door. But by the time you add the keypad and the Connect module, which I really think you should add both, that puts the total cost at just over $500 US. That really pulls around a $200 to $300 premium on this minimal design over competing locks. But as someone who recently ordered a new front door, $200 can seem relatively small in the grand scheme of even a tiny home construction project. So depending on your situation, splurging for the Apple-esque aesthetics could be worth it. But if you want your dollars to go farther, you should consider an all-in-one lower cost option like something from my playlist of smart lock reviews linked here on the screen. And I have more smart lock reviews and Apple and smart home tech videos coming your way pretty much every week, so subscribe if you don't want to miss those. Thanks again so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.